Welcome back to yet another episode of Conscious Mother podcast, where today again I have a beautiful mother with me. Her name is Neha. So, she is a cord cutting and inner child healing expert. She guides women to release old patterns, clear toxic energy, and step into self worth and abundance. So, this is all I know that this is all we want as a mother. So today we're going to hear her side of the story, what she has in for us, and what are the lessons that we can learn from her story. So welcome, Neha. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Shagun. Thank you for having me. Thank you
Yeah,
for inviting.
yeah. So we'll quickly jump into today's podcast, and I'm going to ask you my first question, which is like, who is Neha? Before becoming a motherhood, before beginning your journey in being a mother, what was your journey like? Who is Neha, if I ask you?
Neha is basically, I would say, a girl who is on a continuous exploration about herself. So, coming from a very middle class family background where, we saw good times as well as hard times financially, coming from you know, being birth to parents who came from very societal, who lived in very societal norms and under how society has defined a person to take care of their family and their children. So being burdened with all of that, as I grew up, there were so many things inside of me that I myself could not explain. The way I used to react to things, the way I used to converse, the way I used to understand things. Sometimes I used to question myself as to, why is this part of me like this? Other people can react to a certain situation, let's say a difference of opinion, in a very relaxed and casual manner. Why do I have to explode? Why do I have to feel triggered? So these were the things that, I was constantly exploring, and that is what made me go into this healing modalities, trying to explore myself, trying to explore who am I at the core? Why am I the way I am? And in case, there are things that I want to change, I want to heal, how do I go about it? So I would say Neha is a constant explorer. She constantly goes inside of herself to understand where she stands, what she is, who she is, and how she can improve further.
Wow. And did you start your journey after becoming a mother, or did you start it even before that?
No, I started my journey just 3 years back. So I became a mother 13 years back.
Okay.
And it was, I think, motherhood was one thing that actually made me question so many things. Because the way I have been raised, when I was raising my daughter in a similar way, I felt something needed to change. Something was not right. As children, when we grow up with our parents, there are certain things about our parents which we don't like,
Right.
certain attitudes, certain behaviors that we did not like as a child. But unconsciously, when we grow as an adult, we inherit that behavior of our parents.
Hmm.
And when we are raising our children in the similar way, and our children react in the way when we used to react as children, that's when that, uh, the clock clicks and it says that no, when I was a child, I used to react this way and I wanted my parent to change. Right.
Right.
Then why am I behaving in the same way? There is something which is not right. Something needs to change. If I did not like this as a child, what can I do so that my child does not have to face a similar thing? So it was, I think, primarily the motherhood that made me question certain aspects of myself, and that is what made me go into healings. So other than being a inner child healer and a cord cutting healer, I am a full-time corporate employee.
Oh.
I work in an IT company as a HR manager.
Hmm.
So I work 9 to 6. I stay in a family with my in-laws, right? And then I raise my 13-year-old child. And, after having spent these last 3 years on my own healing and seeing the kind of changes and transformation that I've seen in myself, that's when I decided last year to step out, and then make myself visible to women who might be on a similar journey as me. and might be looking for some help, some hand holding. That's when I decided to go out. Okay, let me just go out. If this can help me, it can help multiple women outside. So
Yeah.
that's what made me step into this.
Lovely thought. And, this reminds me, this is how we discover our why actually. Through our own
Absolutely.
experiences, there are mothers to whom I converse and they say that I don't know what I have to do. So you just have to go
Mm,
within your own experiences and within your own journey, and then you'll be able to discover it. And then you can be even more authentic to it. This is what I feel.
absolutely.
You don't have to pick,
Absolutely.
pick up someone else's why and then just copy paste it. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, authenticity will definitely come with what you have experienced, because what
right.
you have experienced, what you have transformed is what you'll be able to help other people with. It's just like bookish knowledge and practical experience. Practical experience is always more valuable than just plain bookish knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you just explained about your schedule, like 9 to 6, it's a job, then you have a 13-year-old child, then it's a joint family. When mothers actually listen all these things, one question, one basic question that arises, like, how do you manage time to do all of these healing modalities? And you must be having your clients also. I mean, from where do you get that time after 9 to 6?
I ask for help, and I ask that without any guilt. No matter what the other person says, thinks, whatever it is, I just do not take that guilt onto myself, right? I have, had conversations with my husband, with my in-laws, that with my schedule and with what I am trying to build, I will not be able to contribute much in the household. So I have house helps available for my cooking, for my cleaning, for dusting, for every possible thing.
Right.
I contribute to my household only in places where it is absolutely mandatory, right? And I have been very lucky that over the time, my in-laws have quite understood where I'm coming from. They have stood by me as a support. I would, always vouch for my mother-in-law. If she wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have been who I am. She is the one, I would say, who has taken whole and sole responsibility of raising my daughter while I'm at office, of taking care of the basic things of the house, managing groceries, managing vegetables, managing house helps. She takes the entire responsibility. She has really, really supported me a lot. So, as I said, I guilt free go and ask for help.
Yeah, and I feel many of the mothers, they also hesitate to communicate and they think a lot in their head first that, my mother-in-law is like this, my father-in-law is like this, they're not going to support me. But the way we
Correct.
communicate, so if you could also share the first time when you communicated to them so that it can help the other mothers who are watching this episode, how did you communicate and how did you share about your journey that these are the things that I want to do? Did you tell them that can you just take over rest of the things? Were they okay from day one? Or did it happen gradually over the period of time by understanding your dreams and efforts?
See, I think it happened step by step gradually.
Right.
So, when I got married initially, 13 years back,
Hmm.
I was responsible for the household. I was also in my full-time job. So, my day started early in the morning where I would cook breakfast and lunch for the entire family, joint family. Then I would go to work, then I would return, and then I would again enter kitchen and then again cook for the entire family. This was how it is. But then gradually, when I had my daughter after a couple of years, for some time I took a maternity break, but then I had this conversation with my mother-in-law that I really wanted to return back to work, right? And she she never complained. I must say, she never complained. She supported in this fact that, okay, you go back to work. I'll take care of your daughter. However, in order to reach that stage, I had to take a break of 5 years for my work. I returned back to work when my daughter was 5, and I knew that she is at a level where she can communicate her basic needs to my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
I did not have the confidence of leaving my 1-year-old child and go back to work. That might not have been feasible. So I took that break, but after the break, I started gradually. I started with a part-time job. I started leaving my daughter for a couple of hours first, for both, the child as well as the adult to become compatible. and as well as, get that confidence of being with each other in my absence.
Right.
And then when that gradually, happened, that's when I moved into a full-time job. Right. And then after a couple of years, again, that's when I communicated with my family that now taking care of the child as well as home as well as job is taking a toll on my mental and physical health. So I needed help. So, and at that time, there was some medical issue with my mother-in-law also. And it was just not becoming possible for me to manage the medical condition as well as, the family responsibilities and job. So that's when we thought that, okay, let's get uh, a cook also. We had this house help for cleaning and
Right.
for the utensils and everything. So that's when we got a cook. Right.
Okay.
Initial days, of course, it becomes a little difficult because when there is a new house help, you have to be with them. You have to tell them how your family functions, how the day goes, what kind of food everybody needs, everybody's requirements. But after that, things started gradually improving. Even when I stepped out, my mother-in-law, used to became used to taking care of dealing with the house help as well as the other responsibilities, and that's how it gradually moved. So right now, after 13 years, I must say, uh, step by step as we move. Now it is at a stage wherein I don't need to get involved into multiple things. Most of the things are now automated. We know that the groceries, this is how the groceries will come, this is how the vegetables will come, this is the timings of the housemaid, this is how the daughter will be managed, this is how my work will go. So I think over the years, as you communicate, it has to be very polite and it has to be both ways. If I expect my mother-in-law to support me into certain things, there
Right.
are obviously things that she expects from me too, right? So I make myself present, I make myself available, and I do those things very respectfully. It is not that I can be reluctant to the responsibilities of expectations that she has while expecting she to do everything for me. It
Right.
has to be both ways. If she moves 5 steps forward, even I will take those 5 steps. That's how that compatibility will be. So that's what we tried. It took some time, but then it gradually happened.
Yeah, so anyone who's watching it, it's not difficult, right? So it's just about taking that first step, you know. A lot of doubts are there in the mind, of course. How will I do this? How will I manage this? When you take that
Mm,
first step, you start getting the next step, even even in a
right.
more better way, I feel.
I
But
think the first step is going to be to stop thinking that your mother-in-law is against you.
right.
Just stop thinking that. Sit together and then have that conversation. I know, there is hesitation because the conversation is not difficult, especially if there are differences between a daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law,
Mm.
right? So take that step. And don't think that it is a compromise from your side if you are, taking that first step towards talking or doing something for her. Don't think as a compromise. Think is that something that, sharing the responsibility, I must say. Because when you share is how you will be able to manage. If you constantly come from a place where you're thinking that, the mother-in-law will not support you since she has not done that in the past. Maybe the past has been difficult between the two of you. But when they see you progress, they will come along. This is what I have seen. The biggest contribution and I would say the selfless support or the no question asked support that we say came when they were able to see the success that I was able to create in my job as well as in my hustle of healing. So, when I got promoted, simultaneously I got an award from my mentor. And that's when they thought, okay, she's doing both. She's creating that abundance for the family. Because when we earn, we're not only earning for our pocket, right? We're
Absolutely.
contributing to the family. So when they see that, okay, she is creating that abundance, she is creating that success, that's when they start seeing and supporting you without questions. The first level of support might come from the outsiders, right? But the second level of support, the back support, will always be from your family. It will always be. I can absolutely vouch and guarantee that from my personal experience.
Yeah. Same with me, I would say, but I really love the point that you need to take that first step and eventually they actually start supporting you when they see you progressing. So that's a lovely thing that you have shared with everyone. And I'm sure that's going to help more mothers to take that first initiative in their life. They can do everything. They can do all at the same time, but to trust your instincts. Okay. So, Nia, I would love for you to tell us, what has motherhood taught you? After becoming a mother, how has life changed?
Motherhood, the greatest lesson that I have learned from motherhood is patience. Being a first time mother, everything is new for you. You are growing as your child grows. And there is so much patience that the child demands. Growing up, they would have questions, they would not agree to your opinion, they would demand time. And sometimes in the initial stages, I used to get very impatient and very triggered around it. With other people, I was absolutely impatient. But then when it came to my child, I started developing that very gradually. When when the child is very small and you're teaching them the basics, when you're teaching them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, after every one, the child would go to 5. You again need to correct, beta. After one, it's going to be 2. You would do that 100 times without losing your patience. Yeah. So this is what my child has taught me. Now, when she's a teenager, she's 13 now,
Yeah.
there is so much difference of opinion, between her and me. Initially, when there was a difference of opinion with me and the other person, that would make me feel irritated, as if the other person is wrong. But now it is her who is teaching me that difference of opinion is not necessarily argument or enmity. Difference of opinion can be very respectful also. So that is what I'm learning from her. The second thing that she's teaching me is, no matter how the other person is aged, whether younger to you or elder to you need to be respectful. Those times are gone when, the elders used to have the last say, or whatever the elders and the parents said used to be a line embedded in the stone. It's not like that anymore. You know, Even if she is 13, she demands equal respect. If I have to say something, I would say in the similar way that I would expect her to say things to me. Because if I don't, she is going to point out immediately. You expect me to speak in a certain way, but you yourself don't do that. So I think the greatest lessons from motherhood that I have got is patience and being respectful to the other person, no matter where they're coming from.
Any hard situation that you faced with your daughter? Anything that you
I
remember
face
that
that
was,
every other day, I must say. Every other day, there is a serious argument about everything. I'll give you a very recent example.
yeah.
We know of this protest that happened, the students at Jantar Mantar. She had an opinion. She obviously, as a student, she has a certain way of thinking. And we, from the previous generation, have grown with a separate way of thinking.
Hmm.
Right. Now, her demand or the student demand, sometimes we are not able to relate it. I was not able to relate it exactly. So while we were conversing, I realized that, as students or as growing up, our aspirations were completely different.
Hmm.
You know, when there used to be an infrastructure development in the country, we used to celebrate that. There are there, our generation saw flyovers. I remember being a child, we used to go on a road, and then there were the concept called flyovers and underpasses, and our parents used to say that there is going to be a road above the road and a road below the road. And as a child, I could not comprehend what could that mean. So
Hmm.
those kind of developments is something that we celebrated. But for this generation, this is their baseline.
Hmm.
For them, this kind of infrastructure is something that should exist in the first place. Their aspirations are of a different level,
Hmm.
right? But we think from our mind, from what we have known.
Hmm.
If I see a political development happening right
Hmm.
now, it
Hmm.
would make me feel very proud as an Indian. But she would come and say that isn't it something very normal? Isn't it something which should actually be there?
Hmm.
Why are you so happy about it? You should be happy if there is a major transformation in education. That is my future. I couldn't think from that mind. So that was a difference, very difference of opinion. We literally had a very major argument last week when she said, I want to go to Jantar Mantar and support what the students are doing. And I had the other opinion saying that, you know, why do you want education minister to resign? What would that bring?
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
is not going to solve. It is not that the NEET paper that got leaked is going to resolve in itself. There will be some other political leader who will come. And then she was like that this is what is going to set the baseline of punishment of anything wrong which is happening with our future. And that's what made me pause and think that, okay, their aspirations is very different from ours. Their way of thinking is at a next level from ours. They do not celebrate what we celebrated. Their celebration level, their expectation of celebration is very different from us.
Hmm.
So, yes, it was a very difficult situation, but ultimately we coincided when I understood where she is coming from. And in a very polite way, I was able to tell her where I came from, what I used to think, and how I am trying to change. I had to accept in front of her that yes, my way of thinking was wrong.
Hmm.
I celebrated a political party, and for you, it is not about a political party. It is about your future.
Hmm.
So, yes, that was a very, big difference of opinion, but ultimately we came together. Again, I think the conversation and communication is the key to reaching anywhere.
Right, right. And they are like, I think this generation is like about, let's just decide what is right or wrong. They are like very particular and they're very fixed. Yeah,
That this
we
is what
actually
we
want the
want.
solution there and then only. We are not going to wait for many years here just for this thing.
Yeah. And they're very clear about what they want.
Right.
At my level, what I think is that, my generation, we compromised a lot. Okay, agar ye nahi hua, to let me go this way. We
Right.
always had a plan B. These people, these children, they do not like a plan B.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
they have certain thing in mind, this is how they want to progress, they want that. And
Hmm.
they want things to revolve around that. And they
Right.
want people to change according to that. She
Hmm.
says that if you want to become relevant to me, if you want to understand me, you will have to change the way you think because your thinking and my thinking cannot match.
Wow. Wow. Did she say it just like that on your face?
Yeah,
Or
she
that's the
said, yeah,
future, that even I am
that is the
seeing
future.
now.
And I have, over time, I have started accepting this fact that this generation is very transparent and very frank in their communication. You cannot feel offended
Hmm.
because actually they are not saying it to offend you.
Hmm.
They are just putting their thoughts very clearly on in front of you on your face.
Hmm.
Now it is up to you whether you want to accept it or you want to feel offended.
Hmm. And I feel being offended is not the solution because ultimately you're going to feel disconnected with the other person or with the child. Then
The
till how
child,
long you can just sustain. So
right? And this is not the generation that you can raise with strictness.
right.
This is a generation that you can raise only when you are absolutely friendly with them.
Hmm.
A parent friend is what they need. They don't need a parent.
Hmm. Any happiest moment that you can think of right now? There might be many, I know, but any one
Mhm.
happiest moment that you can think of right now with your daughter as a teen, maybe? Anything? Or anything
Um,
maybe that you do together that is a like family value kind of thing that we do this together.
of late that she has grown, we have started traveling together.
Nice.
So, initially we used to travel only as a family. She was young, so it was always she, my husband, and me.
Right.
And now that she has grown, we have started traveling as a mother and daughter.
Wow.
And the kind of time that it gives us, the kind of conversations that, it allows us, the us time that it gives us, I think it has really contributed to the bonding between us.
Right.
We understand more each,
Hmm.
and she's able to open up more.
Hmm.
She's now at a stage, see, 13 years is a very vulnerable state.
Hmm.
Children are changing, they're growing, they're changing from being a child to moving towards an adult.
Hmm.
There are things happening in their school between their friends, the kind of conversations they share, the kind of feelings they have.
Hmm.
And children at this age, if parent is not very friendly, they would not want to share these things with their parents.
Hmm.
As
Hmm.
children, I never shared those things. You study in a co-ed school, you study in boys, your hormones are changing, you are a teenager, you feel
Right.
infatuations, you feel those attractions, the conversations between you and the boys have changed. While growing up, I could not share those things with my parents.
Right.
But this mother-daughter time that we have been able to spend, she has opened up to me about these things. She comes and tells me, Mama, this boy told me this thing. This is how I feel about that person. Is it right? Is it wrong? I am able to guide her. And this is what makes me feel that I have achieved something as a mother. When she is able to come and open up to me about her about her things, which generally children would keep secret from their parents, I feel accomplished because then I know which direction my child is taking. I can guide her, I can handhold her.
Right.
I don't want to restrict her because as a mother, now I understand that this is the age where she will feel some kind of infatuation and attraction to the opposite gender,
Hmm.
right? But till which level she should progress, where she should cut off, what is right and what is wrong, I'm able to guide her very transparently. And she takes my advice, she takes my guidance, not as an offense, but as in a very friendly way. She implements that and she tells me, Mama, you told me this, I did this, and this is how it changed. This is how it benefited me.
Hmm.
So I think this is one thing that I have really achieved, with the communication and the time that we had together. I really wish that my daughter sees me as the first person who she can come to, no matter what situation she's in.
Yeah. So I think as a parent of a teenager, every mother or every father expects the same kind of relationship with their kids. Uh,
Yeah,
can you just share with your own experience what efforts does it take to make this kind of relationship work? Like any three things, maybe I'll just start with the first one, that whenever your child is coming up to you, do not judge your child instantly. That's one of the basics of being with a teenager.
absolutely.
Whenever your
Absolutely.
child is coming up and sharing something with you, because the moment we do that, it's going to break it there and then, and the next time the child is not going to come up.
Not
So
going to
any
come
two
true.
to three things that you can share regarding this that's going to help a mother of a teenager listening this episode, because like you have a teenager and you are sharing such a lovely bond with your daughter, that this is the most important thing these days, that a child should come up to the parent instead of
Mm,
just seeking that thing outside, because that
absolutely.
outside is just so random. They're going to see it in their friends who are going to give them just vague advices which have no sense, or on any other person for that matter. So, can you just
Mm.
share with your own experience what two, three things can help parents, to have this kind of bond?
I think the first thing is, as a parent, always keep your ego aside. Don't get into the mode of that I am the parent. What I say is what she's supposed to do.
Right.
When she comes to you and she shares with you, or your child, when they come to you and they share certain things with you, keep that strict parent, that ego aside, and listen to them from their level. Go to their level.
Hmm.
Understand, and then go back to your childhood also, to think that even as children, we went to these similar situations,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
we did not have anyone to share it with.
Hmm.
Now that your child is coming up to you, instead of advising them, or instead of tackling the situation uh, from your own wounded self, don't do that.
Right.
Just, as I said, keep your ego aside and then listen to them from their level of what exactly they are feeling, what
Hmm.
exactly they are saying. Become hyper aware. I would say the second thing and the most important thing is that when you talk to your child, don't be distracted at all.
Right.
Keep your phone aside, keep your things aside, keep your household work, your office work, your files, keep everything aside and talk to them eye in eye.
Hmm.
Make them feel heard, make them feel your presence. That's what makes a lot of difference. Even now, when I'm talking to my daughter, even if I am distracted for a bit, she would pause and she would ask, "Are you even listening to me?" And I would just close my phone and keep it aside, and I would just look at her, and I would tell her that exactly, I am listening to you, dear. I repeat her words word by word. This is what you said. See, I listened to you. That's what makes her feel confident that I am present to her conversation.
Mm, mm,
The more they feel your presence, the more they open up to you. So
right.
that is one primary thing. And second is that, as you said, you cannot judge them. Please stop judging them from what they are telling you. Try to understand what they are going through. Try to understand their friend circle. You can always try and ask them what kind of advices or what kind of things they have seen around in their school, in their tuition, in their friend group. Analyze all of that information and coupled with your own experience, with your own guidance, and then tell them what is right and what is wrong.
Right.
So yeah, I think being present and keeping your ego aside are the two most important things that every parent of a teenager needs to do right now.
Right. And I feel this such a beautiful age of, being connected with your child. It's up to us.
Hmm.
We want to actually spoil it, or we want to develop the connection that stays for a lifetime. And
Correct.
especially, like you mentioned all the beautiful points, I would also like to add, because I've been seeing in school as a teacher also so many
Hmm.
teenagers. That's a request, from I think both of our sides, that, just stop talking about only marks to your children. Whether your child is in
Yes.
ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, beyond marks, there is a lot that you can have a discussion on. But when you start the discussion of only marks, how much did you score? इतने ही आए
Hmm.
हैं. And then you picture
Hmm.
your child just because of the marks, and your child is good for nothing because your child scored low marks. And then the
Hmm.
entire discussion is lost, actually. It's totally lost.
Absolutely.
Then there is no
Uh,
connection, it's only disconnection only.
And also in Shagun, I feel that the way the world is progressing right now,
Right.
in the age of AI, you cannot stick to, if you're chasing just marks and books, you are already obsolete from this world. The
Absolutely.
world is moving at a very different pace right now. There are so many career options. Even as average kids, they really don't need to chase 90% and 99%. There are so many things that they can do even without having such kind of scores.
Right.
Right now, if I say my daughter has this interest in music,
Mm.
and in music, she likes to play drums. Now, there are very less girls who go into drums. When
Right.
she requested, when she told me that, "Mom, this is what I want to learn as a hobby," initially I was reluctant. I
Mm.
come from an age where, the hobbies of the girls and the boys were very separate.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. And so on the top of my head, I couldn't see a girl playing drums. I have always seen boys playing drums. A
Mm.
girl playing a piano, maybe a guitar
Mm.
sounded, okay to me, but drums was just not there. I even, I did this mistake of forcing her to, learn piano and learn guitar. I
Mm.
have a guitar lying around in my home. I have a Casio lying around in my home. She
Okay.
did that only because I forced her as a child. She did that for a couple of months.
Mm.
But then she did not enjoy it. She started seeing it as a burden.
Mm.
And then it started making me feel guilty. The child is already burdened with so many school responsibilities.
Mm.
No matter what you do, she still has to go to the school. She still has to clear all her subjects,
Right.
whether she likes it or not.
Mm.
Like my daughter, she says that she wants to become an author. How is maths relevant to her? Why does she have to study maths? I
Mm.
cannot explain her because this is how our education system is designed.
Mm.
She has to complete her class 12th,
Mm.
at least with all the subjects. And then she's free to, go into her own specialty. So as a mother, I started the pressure of my expectations on her. It was making her feel sad. And I, as a mother, was feeling very guilty about it. And, sometimes just a few minutes back, I mentioned that this is not a generation who lives with the societal norms. They like to question everything.
Right.
And since she was interested in drums, and when she asked me why wouldn't I allow her to learn drums? I did not have a justified answer. The only answer I had was because I haven't seen or listened, heard
Hmm.
about it. And when the child says that since you haven't heard about it, does that really mean that it is wrong? And that's when I thought, no, it is not wrong. It is actually not wrong. Why would I not want my child to feel happy, doing something?
Hmm.
And why would I pressure her to make a career you know, into what the society has defined? She doesn't necessarily have to be just an engineer or a doctor. She
Right.
can totally make a career in something she loves. You
Hmm.
know, that now that I have been into this inner healing and journey, and cord cutting journey for last 3 years, I see so many of established mentors saying this, that one of the most biggest limiting belief we have in ourselves is thinking that we cannot make abundance, we cannot make money from what we love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when I thought that why can't she make a career in drums if this is what she loves?
Hmm.
Why does she need to score, 80% or 90%? Or why does she need to be excellent in maths and science? And
Hmm.
why does she need to learn piano and guitar when she can totally learn drums? And if at all, she wants, as she grows on in years, she can totally make that as a career. So, as we were just saying that the world has advanced so much. There are
Right.
so many career options available. There are so many things children can do nowadays that as parents, if we want them just to chase marks, we are already way behind in generations.
Absolutely. And it's the need of the hour that we start changing our perspectives, according to the
Absolutely.
changing times.
Yeah. And I would also like to add here, Shagun, that right now, just few minutes back, you asked me certain things that I would want to advise to parents of teenagers.
Right.
One thing that I really feel is very important right now is stop attaching your love to achievements. Only when a child achieves something, only then you would love them or praise them. This is so wrong that our generation is doing.
Right.
Parents' time and love of the parents is the most basic need of a child, and it should not be attached to anything, absolutely anything. So don't say that only if your child achieves 90% will you praise them or will you be happy about them being your child. They are not your trophies, they are your children. Love them. Don't treat them as achievements. Don't burden them with your expectations. That is one of the most important things that I think I wanted to communicate today. Maybe you can attach certain rewards to achievements, but not your love. That has to be unconditional.
Wow. Wow. I just love that point, and I feel every parent of teen must hear this point.
Not
And
only teen, but even as, young children also, because we
yeah.
start teaching our children from a very young age. If
Hmm.
you, recite a poem in a nursery class, when you do the poem, that's when I give you a kiss.
Right.
Oh, you have to kiss your child irrespective. Eventually, they will learn to recite a poem.
Yeah. That's so lovely and such a touching point. Yeah. Any parenting myth that you had earlier and that changed over the years?
I think I've already shared it that the myth that I had initially is that a parent is an adult and an adult is always correct. This is not right. Adults can be wrong. Please accept it that as adults, we can be wrong. Our perceptions, our way of thinking, our way of doing things come from the way that we have been brought up, the kind of situations we saw in our family, the parents that we have, the society, what society told us. Those
Right.
things have already changed. The society has changed, thinkings have changed, everything has changed. So, not so. If you think that you are correct only because you are an adult, you are absolutely wrong. Please be open to the difference of opinions. You can be wrong. Your child, even if they are way younger than you, they can be correct. Be open to learning. So if Neha is an explorer, so she has started understanding that exploring my child's perspective and changing myself accordingly is also very, very important for my existence.
Right. And it's not about, you versus the child. It's about that both of you are in the same team.
Same team, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah. So, coming to our last segment, Neha, thank you so much for sharing everything. And I'm going to just do a rapid fire round with you, and you have to tell me one word for each. Okay.
sure,
So,
sure.
motherhood in one word.
Journey,
Wow.
journey of growth.
Your daughter.
My soul, my love.
Wow. One habit that brings you peace.
Having truth, honest conversations with people around.
Wow. Any one thing that you're still learning?
Motherhood.
One book that every parent should read.
Uh, it might be a little heavy, but then there is a book called by Eckhart Tolle. It's called The Power of Now. You know,
Okay.
I read it a couple of years back, and it really helped me understand the importance of being present in the moment. And that's why I said a couple of minutes back that when you're talking to your child, be hyper present. Keep all your distractions aside. That makes a great, great difference to the conversation and the kind of bonding you have with your children.
Wow. And one lesson that your daughter has taught you.
Patience. Patience is something that you really need to have. And once you start developing that patience in your bond with your child, you start seeing the ripple effects, in every area of your life. And once you see that patience in every area of life, trust me, the life transforms in ways that you might have not thought ever.
Absolutely. I've witnessed it
Yeah.
myself. So, yeah, totally agree on that. But last question, if your daughter watches this podcast after 10 years, maybe, what's the message that you want to give it to her?
Mhm. The message that I would want to give to her was that, you know, as you were growing, I was growing with you. I also made mistakes. I know there are things that she would have not liked me doing as a parent, but then I want to tell her that I grew with you. All my first times were with you. So yes, I made mistakes. I learned in the journey, and I hope we were able to connect and grow as friends and as mother and daughter together.
Wow. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Neha. It was such an honor to have you here on this podcast today and just loved all the insights that you have shared. And I'm sure that it's going to help many other people who are going to listen to this podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Shagun. It felt really good to be able to share my journey, my challenges, and to be able to put forward for others to hear and maybe learn a thing or two. And before we end, I would just like to add one line that as parents, if somebody still feels that they're not able to connect to their children or their ego reacts before they are able to, understand where their child is coming from, please that are feeling triggered. And, that will make all the difference on the bond that you will create with your child now and in the future.
Yeah. And if our audience wants to connect with you, Neha, where can they connect with you? You can also share your Instagram handle.
Uh, yes, my Instagram handle is Heal and Prosper with Neha. You can always connect with me there. The handle has my WhatsApp number link also. You can connect with me there. We can get on a call. I can help you understand where your limitations might be coming from. And we can always work together if you wish to.
Thank you so much. Thank you.